You're now tuned into $1 million worth of game today. We got the one, we got the only. Listen, man. We got Brent in the building, man. Brent is in the building.
Special guest, Brent Faiyaz is here.
What's up? This is Brent Faiyaz.
Brent Faiyaz is here today.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Morning Hustle. This dude is hustling hard.
Grammy nominated 5 times platinum recording artist Brent Faiyaz in the studio.
What's going on? What's going on?
Today, I want to talk about who Brent Faiyaz actually is.
Subscribe to the channel. Lazy crossover, whatever.
Not just the surface version that we all know from TikTok and music videos and toxic lyrics. But I want to talk about how his career really came together, how he moves, and why his influence feels so strong right now, especially online, like I said earlier with the TikTok songs. Because Brent Faiyaz is one of those artists where if you look only at the numbers or streams or whatever you want to measure it by, you miss the point of his career.
2018, I just want to spread more truth. I want people to know that this shit is real, that this shit is not going nowhere, and that it's going to keep getting stronger and building. And I say it because I'm talking about the music, you know what I mean? Music, the wave. I'm like in the center of it, but it's not like my shit or nothing like that, you know what I mean? It's like, it belongs to everybody.
His career makes more sense when you slow it down and look how it built over time and how he came from Maryland to now. Brent Faiyaz was born Christopher Brent Wood and grew up in Columbia, Maryland. It's not a city It's not a city people usually associate with music scenes or artists breaking through nationally. There isn't a built-in industry there, like with California or New York. That matters because Brent didn't grow up around labels or producers telling him what works and what doesn't. He was just listening to music and forming his own taste in a way. The music he connected with early on, not surprisingly, was R&B. Artists who focused on feeling, writing, and honesty. That is what he connected to the most. And I think that's shaped how he approached music later on. Because even now, his songs don't feel like they're chasing trends. They feel like they come from an emotional place that gives him that unique sound of melodies and rhythm. As he got older, Brent realized that staying in Maryland would limit him. Not because it was bad, but because there wasn't many opportunities there. So, made the decision like most artists and moved to one place, Los Angeles. And it's important to be clear, he didn't move with hype behind him. I mean, he had a few tracks early on, but nothing that blew up already, just experimental. And he didn't move with a deal or a guaranteed opportunity. He just knew that if he wanted to seriously pursue music, he would have to put all bets on himself.
I need to make something shake, so I come home from work, like, you feel me, like, get on the beats, be tired as fuck, had to get up and go to work the next day type shit. But just grinding for real. And then I was putting music on SoundCloud while I was living in Charlotte, and the manager I got now, Ty, hit me and was like, yo, I'm trying to manage you. So I'm like, smooth, ain't nobody hit me trying to manage me, so I'm like, fuck it if this can get me out this job, you feel me? And from there, I moved out to LA, and it seemed like after that, everybody we played the music for was just fucking with it.
When he got to LA first, things didn't suddenly click all of a sudden. There was no big moment where everything changed. He spent years recording music, writing, learning how the industry worked, figuring out what kind of artist he wanted to be. A lot of his early music was released quietly online, no big rollouts or major attention. I mean, why would they? This is a part of stories where people usually skip when talking about an artist like Brent Faiyaz. But it's important because Brent didn't rush his sound. He didn't force himself into a lane that would attract more media attention right out the gate. He gave himself time to experiment and figure out what felt natural. During this period, he started working with a small group of creatives, which eventually became
The realization that every individual passerby has their own life just as vivid and complex as yours.
Sonder. Sonder wasn't built to be mainstream. The music was very minimal, emotional, and sometimes very understated. Songs like Too Fast and Explode, but they stuck with people. They spread slowly, mostly through word of mouth. That early Sonder era created Brent's first real audience. Not a massive one, of course, but people who liked the kind of sound he was producing, something that they could relate on a deeper level than what music actually is. They don't just play the song once and move on. They come back, and every time something new is discovered within the song. But here's where things get interesting. The connection with Goldlink. Gold Link is also from the DMV area and was paying attention to artists coming out the space. Brent's voice stood out to him because it didn't sound forced. It wasn't, this aggressive drill rap that people are used to during this time. It felt calm, emotional, and honest. That's how Brent ended up on Crew. When Crew dropped in 2016, it didn't feel like an instant cultural moment right away, but it kept growing. Radios picked it up, streams climbed. Eventually it went platinum and earned a Grammy nomination, which he didn't win, but for a lot of people, that was the first time they ever heard of Brent Faiyaz. After this moment, his career could have went in several different directions. Because after Crew, Brent had options, and I mean options. Most artists in that position immediately try to stay visible, and more features, more appearances, more momentum, but Brent didn't really do that. Even though it was his long-time goal of getting a record deal, he pulled back and focused on his own work.
Like initially coming out, I just wanted to be a nigga that was the nigga, you feel me? I just wanted to be popping and be signed and pop bottles and shit. I wasn't thinking like, I want to own my shit long term. Right. But then like I'm starting to really peep like how my creative process is and how much I like controlling my shit and my narrative and my imagery and everything involving the music. So I don't think I could ever be anything but independent.
I think that decision says a lot about him. He wasn't interested in being everywhere. He was more interested in the process of making music, where he could connect with it and not be limited to a record label contract. As he released solo projects like Sanderson, people just started to understand his perspective more clearly. His music talked about relationships, emotional distance, selfishness, desire, and vulnerability, which gave him the label Toxic. And he didn't frame himself as the good guy, obviously. He didn't explain himself or clean things up. He just presented his point of view. That honesty is a big reason people connect with his music. It doesn't feel like he's trying to be relatable. It just feels real. That's also where a lot of conversation around his music comes from. Some people relate deeply. Some people criticize it for being toxic in general. But people talk about it, and that's important. As time went on, Brent continued to release music on his own terms. When Fuck the World came out, people were isolated. Relationships were strained. Everyone was sitting with their thoughts more than usual, and his music fit that moment naturally. It wasn't loud or celebratory, it was reflective, and people needed something to reflect on instead of their own thoughts. Then when Wasteland dropped, it felt like a continuation rather than a shift. The sound was more polished, but the theme stayed consistent. Songs from the album started spreading heavily on social media, especially TikTok. This is where Brent's influence really shows. Songs like Dead Man Walking, Clouded, Trust, Rehab, Poison, All Mine, and Jackie Brown started being used in videos about breakups, dances, confidence, emotional detachment, healing, and self-reflection. All themes Brent Faiyaz was already speaking on before. People were using them because they matched how they felt. Brent music works well on TikTok because it doesn't demand attention. It sets a mood that is kind of weird to explain, but everybody has some sort of relatability to it. Another reason his influence feels strong online is how he presents himself, or really how little he presents himself. All interviews with Brent Faiyaz are really spaced out in between, and when he posts, it's usually brief, something vague. That distance makes people focus more on the music than the personality, and in an era where a lot of artists feel overexposed, that restraint stands out. Brent's image also plays a role: calm, confident, emotionally aware, but not apologetic. That's why his influence goes beyond just streams. His music becomes part of how people talk about relationships and emotions online. When you look at his career as a whole, it makes sense why his fan base feels so solid. He didn't rush, he didn't overexpose himself, he stayed consistent and honest, even when it meant slower growth. So when people ask who Brent Faiyaz is, the answer isn't complicated. He's an artist who values control, someone who prioritizes honesty over image, someone who lets music speak without over-explaining it. He isn't everywhere, but his music shows up in people's lives at the right moments. This was Brent Faiyaz.
Yo, sorry for this video taking so long, 3 weeks, but hey, a week earlier than my last video that took me a whole month to get out. This video is done. Hopefully next video takes even shorter to get out. All right, peace. And hit up my boy who's making this song, Hitmaker J. Check him out. I'm gonna play one of his tracks for my outro, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Yeah.